you do want to engage in your addiction, even though you say that you don't want to. You do want to engage in it. You do want to edge to porn when you're in your addiction. There's no doubt about it. Now, if you understand this concept, you can click off this video now. If you don't, let me explain. Right, so if you're new here, I'm Joe. I was in a 17-year porn addiction, was trying to quit for about 9 of them, went through all the stuff that we all normally try. Beginning with NoFap in around 2016, tried that for 4 years, did not help one bit. I just kept relapsing, going in a cycle again and again and again, like most of us do, trying all the stuff in NoFap to try and stop, such as meditation, journaling, exercise routines, cold showers, looking into the past, extra reading, all the stuff that we all normally try when we try to stop and to quit using NoFap. And after that, I went on to 2 other paid programs within the next 5 years, and unfortunately they did not get the result that I wanted either. To stop and stay stopped. This will change in 2025 when I met Tom Molyneux and Mary Paulus, who taught me what's known as the Beyond Compulsion method. This method revolves around changing addicted neural pathways, rewiring neural pathways in order to stop correctly and stay stopped. Dealing with urges and discomfort when they come up in the most efficient way. Ever since then, I've never looked back. I'm now an affiliate for them, and I'm trying to get as many guys as I can to get the result that hundreds of guys have now achieved to stop correctly and stay stopped with porn addiction. So one of the things that we hear in NoFap and all across the quitting addiction space in general, and obviously within this context, porn and edging and the rest. And I was one of these guys who used to think, man, I don't want to engage in porn. I'm in this addiction, but I don't want to watch porn. I don't want to watch it anymore. I don't want to be in this situation where I keep on relapsing, going back, and I don't like porn. I don't like engaging in it. I don't like sitting there and watching it. And on the surface, I thought I was being sort of rational and reasonable and intuitive because, you know, by doing this action over and over again, it was just causing so much mental conflict in my life. Sure, there was parts of my life which were on track, and other parts which were like, okay, great, maybe I haven't got this sorted out right now, but I can get this other area of life on track and I can progress on it. For some reason, when it came to porn, whatever I tried, I could not stop. I could not seem to get in a position, a mental position, a physical position, whatever you want to call it, to stop that behavior. I just kept on going back. I kept on relapsing over and over and over and over again, the countless one last times. We all understand that. And the thing is, when you pile up all these losses over years and years and years and years of trying to stop, once you decide to stop in the first place, you get all this negative consequence of shame, guilt, and just being in an addiction and not being able to get out of it. And the problem is that we get into this realm of convoluted thinking, convoluted thoughts, and we get into these mental positions which really don't serve us, because at this point the addicted part of the mind is in full swing, operating pretty much as it wants, dragging us left and right, having us think all these different thoughts while we're trying to manage this addiction and really sort of convoluting the situation. And the negative thinking that comes from it is spreading to other areas of life. It affects work, it affects relationships, it affects pretty much everything. Your like sort of life filter is made black and white. And like I've mentioned it before in another video, it's a crap filter. You've just got this lens, dark lens in life, and you just can't see past it because you're stuck in this addiction and you can't really move on in life, or at least you think that you deserve not to move on in life because you cannot get past this one problem in your life that you've told yourself over and over and over and over again that you would finally get past. And so it makes sense when our language turns to sort of this way of thinking where we're thinking, I don't want to watch porn, when you're in an addiction. And like, I've been there and I can relate to guys that say that, because the NoFap forums and everywhere really is full of this language of saying, I don't want to watch porn, I don't want to engage in this addiction. Well, yeah, I'm engaging in it, right? But the problem is when you actually dissect that statement in the first place, when you're in an addiction, because you're continuously repeating that behavior over and over and over again, it's compulsive, it's a compulsive behavior, the behavior is compelling. That compulsive behavior isn't manifesting from a place of you realistically not wanting to do it. So there must be some sort of reward that comes from the action at least. I mean, when we look at porn addiction in general, and when you engage in porn, the one thing that it is doing is taking you out of the discomfort of withdrawal credit where it's due, right? When you have an urge, when you have this discomfort and you have this sort of outlet which you can like use, which is porn, pertaining to the addiction of porn, because most of the time we find that when we're in our thoughts and the urges come up and the discomfort comes up, we might attach like this other reason to it, such as, oh, I'm feeling so much stress right now, I'm just feeling sad right now, I'm feeling depressed right now, I had a bad sleep, I had a bad day at work. And we'll use this sort of language to sort of build this narrative in that moment, to filter that into a reason for engaging. The thing is, and the reality is that when you're in a full-time addiction, when you're in the experience of a full-time addiction, because it's not just about engaging in the behavior that is the addiction, it's everything outside it, such as the lost time, the lost sleep, the lack of self-respect that comes from it. All this mental conflict that you've got to deal with outside of the time of engaging. All this convoluted thinking comes up. You're there thinking, yeah, damn, I don't want to be doing this. But the truth is that if you didn't want to engage in porn, you wouldn't engage in it. A good analogy that Tom and Mary brought to me when I was, first got started in BCA, first started doing the stuff in the program, they asked me, do you want to bang your head against the wall? And I said, no, obviously not. The issue is with that is that is a behavior that if I did engage in it, it would produce negative consequences. It would cause pain, right? Definitely cause pain in my life. I get a dented head, I'm feeling grumpy because it's hurting. And that makes sense because it's the consequences. It is the consequences of engaging in that behavior which is causing the pain. It's not the behavior itself, because look, we can all admit when we're going to sit down to engage, or whatever position we engage in, whatever it looks like. The matter of the fact is that there is a reward to be gained from engaging in your addiction, engaging in porn when you're sitting down and watching it. Back when you were 8 or 9 or 12 or 13 years old, whenever you started, you experienced that first sensation of however you felt. You engaged in that behavior, saw the reward in it, which in porn in particular is a very high reward, and no doubt about it, after that point you engage in it again and again and again and again, of course, because you're not aware of the consequences at this point. And as far as we're concerned, if you've grown up in the Western world, you don't really see an issue with it. You probably went for the whole of high school not thinking it was a problem, because porn was very normalized. Porn was something that was very normal within the culture of growing up in Western societies, for example. So you went through high school, you went through university, thinking that this wasn't a problem, didn't really see the consequences of it until it got to a point where it was like, oh crap, actually I want to stop. And then you tried to stop, and then you found that it was a lot harder than you thought it was to actually stop and stay stopped. What I want to say here is that a lot of guys will sort of attach this feeling of thinking, well, okay, Joe, maybe you're right. I do want to engage in the behavior. And what typically happens at this point, which is completely understandable, is that you feel a lot of shame and guilt, because you kind of sit there thinking, all right, you're right. You're thinking, yeah, I do want to engage in it. I do want to engage in my addiction. It feels good. I get what I want from it. I get to feel this sensation that I've been feeling for years, again and again and again. And I always want it. It's always sort of consuming me. It's always coming back as an itch I want to scratch. I totally understand, because a lot of people can sort of feel shame about that because they're not proud of what they're doing. And that makes total sense. And so what I want to say here is that, look, you were in that circumstance of being in an addiction since you were so young, and you didn't really understand that it was going to be a problem like this. Look no further from this point. Look, you didn't ask to be in this situation. You didn't understand that it was going to be this problem. If you're in this situation, there's nothing wrong with you as a human being. You're simply in a situation where your neural pathways are addicted to pornography. Your addicted neural pathways are currently seeking out that high that it wants to get from porn. Again, there's nothing wrong with you as a human for being in this situation. It's simply a circumstance of addiction, something that is very, very common nowadays. And look, the fact that you're watching this video is enough of a reason to sway this nonsense about how you should feel shame about it. Sure, if you engage, that sense of shame is going to be a symptom. We've all felt that. But when it comes to you as a person, you're here watching this and you're looking to better your life. And so you don't need to feel that anymore. Furthermore, chances are you've been trying to stop for years and years and years, like I did. You're there trying all this stuff, trying all these strategies, and it keeps on coming back to square one, because you feel like, damn, I can't quite figure out how to sort of get past this point where I've got this really big urge when I'm thinking a million miles an hour, when I'm thinking all these thoughts, when I'm thinking, oh crap, I can't escape this urge right now, it's going to last forever, all these junky thoughts, all these things that we've heard before, it just makes sense that, look, you're in this addiction and you just haven't figured out the right strategy to stop yet. However many programs you've been through. 3 takeaways. 1, you want to engage in your addiction, you just don't want the consequences. Number 2, you don't have to feel shame about this anymore. You do not have to feel shame about this problem anymore. When you engage, yes, shame is a symptom of the feelings post-relapse, no doubt, but when it comes to you as a person, the person behind the addiction, don't feel shame about it. It's just that you're in a temporary state. Your neural pathways are in a temporary state of being wired to pornography. And number 3, you just haven't found the right help yet. You've tried years and years and you just haven't figured out the right formula, the right strategy, the right way of looking at the addiction, quite frankly. And so it's no fault of your own, you just haven't come across the right information yet. So guys, if you've been watching this channel for a while now, you know about the 15-minute description. You know about the 15-minute call link in the description. Click on it. If you're ready, bring all your questions, bring all your doubts, bring all your concerns. We can go through them on the call. And then what I can do is literally have a chat and see if BCA would be the right fit for you.